episode of Socially Spiritual, and today's channel is going to be really bustling with something very interesting. So yeah, with me are Boluwatife Olopade and Oluwaseun Adeboye. And today we're going to be addressing some major questions that has to do with the sexual struggles that exist amongst teenagers. Our first question on today's episode would be, what are the common sexual struggles amongst teens? What are these? And this would just, I think Tife should actually start.
Ladies first.
Alright.
Well, actually there are like a lot of sexual struggles like among teenagers. And I think it starts with like watching porn and like, you know, sometimes just peer pressure too, and even knowing like how I want it. Masturbating too, and like just to friends, like a lot of.
So we can say that the common sexual struggles amongst teenagers, it depends on what they watch.
Yes.
So it varies.
Yeah.
So, but most times it is, though there's a question here that has to do with what fuels it. So you're actually like kind of like addressing two questions already. But the major sexual struggles are, according to what you have mentioned, masturbation, what other thing? And struggling with watching pornography. Okay. Alright, so what about you? What are the major common struggles amongst teenagers?
So I'm going to do like a little background, like just do a quick foundation, you know. I will start from it all started from puberty. The fact that people don't understand what happens to their body in that stage of puberty gives them a sense of, how will I put it now? They have little or no understanding. They have sometimes they are even misguided. You get? Let's put it like this. They have no understanding. There are people with no understanding, no orientation, little orientation, misguided orientation. So those with no understanding, they don't even know what is happening. Maybe they were not listening in class when their biologist said I would take it. You understand? They don't those ones, maybe they were sitting in back seats. Then the one with little understanding or little orientation, probably they just know one or two things. Okay, this is what we call this is what we call wet dream. Okay, this is what is happening. For those with misguided orientation, now those people, they know what is happening to them. But based on, let's say, influence, negative influence.
Or Western culture, civilization has explained it to them.
Yeah, how civil, because this kind of discussion is not something an African parents will discuss with you. Imagine me and my mother now sitting down like this, showing, oh yeah, this is what is happening to you, this is what is happening. So that's
shy away from that conversation.
What we just discussed now forms the foundation of what brings the struggle. Now they do have orientation. Now what we now start saying is that they are secretive. No adult to talk to, nobody to discuss it with. They now lead to the next stage, which is they now start looking for alternative. You get? This is where Konji comes. You get? Konji is now the father of masturbation and pornography. And when you do this over and over again, you now start lusting. So you see somebody walking on the street as a guy. The next thing you're looking for to look at, you understand?
Rape, that's where rape.
Premarital sex, rape, that is where it sets in. So that can be the foundation for the struggle.
Alright, so this question here is actually a real one. Well, because I'm sure God has really helped us with this and some practical things that we have actually implemented. The question here is, did you experience any sexual struggle as a teenager? Like when you were much, younger, were there sexual struggles that you had challenges with?
Yes, actually. They were like you said now. Most parents don't like even sit down to like tell you whatever is going on and all those things. And I think for me, what I struggled with was, okay, like I'm hearing this from like, because I was like kind of younger than some of my classmates. And most of them are like more on the matured part. So like I was just hearing, oh, this one, that one, like all these sexual conversations, and I'm like, what exactly is even like going on there? Then, well, like there was one time that one of my classmates was talking about maybe like porn or this thing, and I was not like, I was very, very interested in like what exactly is this thing that people are watching. That's how me, so I went to search and I said, oh, this is what they are all talking about. So like I think like it started from there, then basically this stuff.
Alright.
Okay, the thing is that there are two stages for my experience. One, I said I would only tell my wife. So sorry if you ask. Now it's for my wife.
Alright.
So the other one, the second stage started in school actually. So one of my friends brought this button phone to school. You get. So we were now watching video and I went to this school, so you know they don't allow this, they even check your bag. So I don't know how I sneak it in. We're watching videos on this phone. I said, wait, I want to show one video. So we put the video and I saw exclusive content. You get. So that's where it started. See, when I went back home and I said, I want to watch more of that video. Create a drive. I want to watch more of that video. I want to know more about this. Yeah, I want to know more about this. So since I don't have data, I know Airtel then they were doing free Facebook. And I went on Facebook and I started searching. I know then you cannot check pictures. You cannot check pictures on free Facebook. For those of you that don't know what free Facebook, don't worry. We in Nigeria, you understand. So I started checking the profile picture of all these girls that post nudity. Yeah. So that's where you get. That's where it started
I think there was a particular time there was this media and to go that was rampant amongst young people, where we have groups that was for lesbians and group for gays, and then you find different exclusive lesbian content and everything on these media handles and everything. I think this has actually one way or the other fueled this sexual struggle, because there's just this, like you said, there's this drive. It's like it just like drives you. You just find like you can't explain it. It just like pushes you for more. So it's not something you even play around, because there's just something it's about the flesh. The flesh just loves it. Like you just want more of it, and it is toxic. Like there's this principle that says that not everything that actually feels good for you is actually not poison. Poison would not necessarily be bitter. Poison can be sweet. So many times it feels good, but they don't know that it's actually toxic. It is toxic to you. It's ruining you. It's actually damaging you internally, but you really do not know, because it actually feels good at the moment. All right, so we know this third question is something that we have one way or the other been responding to. This question of what fueled the sexual struggle. It's something that one way or the other we have actually started addressing it by saying friends, something you watched, or something like that, and all of those things. We'll find parents nowadays will have, I remember growing up, there was this part, there were TV series, this Mexican TV series that actually had lots of pornography content in it, and we would actually because it was something my classmates were always talking about, like, oh, this series, this and that. So basically it was something that I was now looking forward to those series. So because I wanted to also feel among that, okay, my classmates were talking about this series and everything, I would go on DSTV to tune into those series and everything, and I would just sit down and watch those things, and those things were really toxic content. I remember my dad would literally come in and see us watching something that had someone naked watch, and he'd be like, what are you watching? And he would literally turn off the TV or ask us to leave and everything like that. And then we would actually have adults with us watching. So it's as though the adults that were supposed to correct us and tell us that we shouldn't watch this thing actually would even sit down with us. So I think it's one of the errors that many parents make. Some parents literally sit down with their children to watch this thing, and they're like, this thing has actually happened, Sha. I saw this coming, and they are laughing and they are having fun. And the children don't now see anything wrong with actually watching these shows. So for me, from then I actually started having an instinct that, it's actually wrong to actually watch this kind of shows, because my father always reacted to it when he came and met us watching this kind of things. So those things actually fueled sexual struggle. TV series, there's some social media pages that are no-go area, social media pages, movies. There's some music content that has lots of vulgar things, sexual postures on songs. I look at it and I'm like, this is so unintelligent. Let's put the matter of faith aside. If I was just an atheist, I would still not listen to this kind of songs, because it's so unintelligent. The lyrics only depict women as sexual objects and all sorts of things. It's demeaning of the women gender and everything, and I'm like, this is so unintelligent. So when I see educated people sing this song, sing these songs or dancing to these songs, I'm like, do people even listen to the lyrics at all? Why are people so unintelligent? So to me, I'm attacking the intellectual part, because I feel if you are intelligent enough, you should have preference to know some things. Really, it's actually an attack, indirect attack to you. So we've already talked about this. I don't know if you have any other thing to add to that, what fueled the sexual struggle, but I think we have all, highlighted those stuff. The fourth question here is, how did you overcome the sexual struggle? How? What was the healing process like? What was the recovery process like?
Well, I think I just paid attention to what I was reading the most, because it was mostly from what I was reading.
That's true. I think we didn't mention that novels too played.
Yeah.
We had then in secondary school, we had this Harlequin silhouettes, blaze, and literally those things go around on tables and everything, and I was privy to read this kind of novels and everything, and I think it's even more powerful reading novels. You are creating the image yourself than where the image has been made for you. So those things actually contributed a lot to that. So how did you overcome? You started becoming mindful.
Yes, mindful of what I watch, what I read, most especially because it was bad part that was my concern that time. Any book that drops like this, and I literally search for romance, all those type of content. So I paid attention more to what I was reading, what I was watching, and just that one. So it kind of just reduced and cut the struggle. What about you, please?
My overcoming process was a little bit epic, because after overcoming, I will go back. After overcoming, So I think what really helped me was God, actually, because I started working with God, and I noticed that if Christ is the Lord of your life, there are certain things. Lordship means is the owner, and the owner has the ability to do anything with the instruments. So if Christ is the Lord of my life, there are certain things I must do. There are certain things He will want me to do, and there are certain things He will not want me to do. So I started following that pattern, and as I constantly worked with God, those things wore off.
Glory to God. So that's actually amazing. I think personally for me, overcoming was actually more of cutting off so many things in my life. Exactly, cutting off so many things in my life. And also it's important to also be mindful of your company. There are some persons that are really vulgar, really raw with their conversations and the things they say, and all of these things actually fuels on inordinate affections in you and all. So you need to be surrounded with people that have similar principles like you do, people that are also on a journey to recovery, they're also on a journey to becoming free from all of these struggles and all of those things. Don't be in the midst of people that have accepted that they will say this, they have chosen to sit in darkness. They have chosen to sit in darkness, and they're not even walking anymore. They are sitting in darkness because this is now their realm. They have chosen that this is their life, and they are all how to recruit people into you just need one person into your life to become addictive to a particular wrong habit. The same way you also need one person in your life to also inculcate a good habit. So it just has to do with company, people coming into your space, right? So I've had people come to me and tell me that since I came into their space, their confidence level boosted, right? So the same way some persons come into some person and say, since they came into my space, I started having unholy desire because they touched me in an inappropriate place. And now there was this drive, and so be mindful. So I became mindful of my company. I wouldn't be with people that would always have those magazines that had pornography contents within it, or novels that were sexually and all of those arousing and all of those things. So it helps you. You have to, even if you are going to if they are going to even still be your friend, you have to limit. There's something called proximity. You have and the time spent with these people. You can have friends that don't really have the same values as you do, but when they now become people you now spend most of your time with, influence is inevitable. The influence is inevitable. All right, so this is the last question we have here. What is your advice to teens out there what's your advice? Maybe we have many people that they are strong. They really know this is wrong, but they don't know who to talk to, because if they don't want to be judged, they don't want to feel like or they, so many people. I think, like you said, being secretive is actually one of the things that fuels. Like, there's this principle that says sin thrives in secrecy. The more you hide it, the more. So from the thought level, you can really make yourself accountable to someone, talk about it, and not someone that is sitting in darkness or that's realm or something. They will only encourage you, but people that can actually pull you out on a higher level. So what other things what are your advice to people out there?
Like, they should just they should be mindful of what they read, because for me, like, it was mostly what I was reading and what I was watching. They should be mindful of things that they know actually fuel these struggles. So they should limit it. And actually, prayer too works, because that was actually the main thing that helped me. Praying about it consistently, because sometimes even when I go back to them, I'm like, God, I did this thing again, blah 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 blah. It actually works, and they should be mindful of what they do. And because sometimes if you actually want to stop it and be even when you're about to do whatever it is that you're struggling with, and you actually call yourself back to reality, or how should I put it? You should work on that one too. Alright, what's your advice?
So I wanted to add something to the number 4, but I wanted you to ask number 5.
Alright.
So one thing that helped me was I got the right knowledge. You get? I started knowing that this thing I'm doing is a sin. Then I started understanding that God has called me into so many things. For example, say you are choosing generation, a royal priesthood. How will a royal priesthood doing masturbation, pornography, all those kind of stuff? So I came into the right knowledge. So one of my advice is to come into the right knowledge. You get? So you know that what you are doing is a sin. You cannot. One thing that struck me, one day I was sitting down when I was so fed up, and I said to myself, Seun, 2 things. Number 1, Seun, you cannot continue like this. Because imagine I'm 50 years old and I'm in the toilet doing it, and my son just enter. How will he feel? Daddy, you said they do this thing. You get? So that thing changed. I just, Seun, wake up. You cannot continue to do like. You cannot continue to be like this. Another thing I discovered was from the Word of God. Now, the Bible says that the devil fell like lightning. Remember the battle in heaven when the devil was defeated? So another thing that struck me was the devil has already been defeated. So I cannot fight a defeated battle. I'm already victorious. You get?
Enforce it.
Yes, just enforce it, activate it, step into the reality. Yeah. Then another thing that struck me was the devil can be weak. So I can fight, no matter how the devil seems to be strong or try to persist, I can fight the devil to the extent that it becomes weak. Meaning I'm so strong that the devil is weak compared to my strength. You get? So I can fight this battle of pornography and masturbation knowing that I am going to be victorious. The problem is people fight thinking that they may be one way or the other they will be victorious.
God help me.
Yes. So I'm fighting it knowing with the assurance that I'm going to be victorious. Another advice I will give is you cannot stop an addiction without having another addiction. It takes an addiction to stop an addiction. So you need to create another addiction to close that space. Another thing I will advise is to learn to walk with God. The Bible says Enoch walked with God and he was not. Meaning you walk with God to the extent that God took him. You get? So you can walk with God to the extent that you become as God. The Bible says, as we behold him as in a glass, we are transformed. Transformation comes when you behold God. So as we behold him as in a glass, we are transformed into the very image of what we behold. So, and the Bible says that do not be conformed to the things of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of the mind. That's why I was saying I should get the right knowledge. Be transformed. Transformation comes by renewing your mind.
Amazing is actually an understatement. We've really had an really enriching conversation on this, shedding more light and ability to profess solution, not just addressing the issues and the discussing the problems, but also approaching it from the angle of what are the possible solutions that can really come to help this and resolve this issue. I want to really thank my two co-hosts here. It's really amazing having you on the show today, and thank you so much for really pouring out from the abundance of how God has helped you to help reach out to a generation out there. Thank you also, my viewers, for joining on today's episode. Please do well to share the videos to as many young people in your space, because you really do not know what people are really facing, because being secretive is really one of the tools that has been used by the enemy to really keep people bound in their addiction. So they don't want to talk about it, they don't want, and you just find them just pretending as if everything is okay. So please subscribe, and please do well to, as much as possible, like this video, and your comments will be well appreciated. We love you so much, and thank you for joining.